trying to think what other movies came out between that time. Has there been other?
Okay, people, this is WXPI 88.5, True to the Core. Other side of America, I am your host, 13. It's been a while since we've been in the building. All right, we got a lot to talk about. Hold on, let me fix this mic. Anything, right? Okay, yeah. Oh, all right. All right. Okay, so let's just... is this on?
Yeah, you on?
Oh, right.
I can hear you.
I can't hear that neither.
You on?
All right.
I can hear you.
All right. As long as you can hear me. As long as you can hear me, it's cool. All right, we good. So, okay. When was the last time we were here? It was right after Trump got elected. That's when it was, right? Right after Trump got elected, that's when that was. Okay. So what? He ain't been in office, what? 2 weeks? It's been like 2 weeks. And he's delivering on a lot of promises, right? He promised a slew of executive orders, and we saw that within the first 48 hours. We saw the signing of, I believe it was 45 executive orders. He rescinded or revoked in various different ways 75 previous executive orders from the Biden administration. Some may have went back a little further than that. So yeah, ice hit the ground hot all over. They was in Philly. Yeah. So yeah, he's keeping some of these promises. We're gonna see what's up with this gas though, right? Because he promised to untap this oil, which is supposed to drop these gas prices. And I mean, I guess they actually are going down a little bit, right? I just got gas just now. It was $2.99 a gallon, so it is down. I don't know if that has anything to do with him and him untapping that oil or not, but we'll see. So before I forget, let me do some shout outs before I forget some people. I don't want to do that. Real quick, shout out to Joe the Boss Comedy Lounge out there in Frankfurt, the only black comedy lounge in the city, holding it down in Frankfurt. I was out there for the weekend, Friday, myself and a couple other people performing. It was a nice venue, it was a nice night, it was a beautiful atmosphere. He's got another event coming up for Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day, Joe the Boss Comedy Lounge in Frankfurt. I think the tickets are $25. There's chicken and waffles and free mimosas, unlimited mimosas. So if you're in the city, man, slide through, check that place out, man. Can't say I promise I'll be there this time, but I'll be back. So shout out to Joe the Boss. What else? Shout out to Mike Tucker out there in Germantown holding it down. You know what I mean? Who else was out there in the city I seen? Shout out to Mike and Kim. It's a beautiful night. I definitely appreciate it. The hospitality. Shout out to Don, my engineer. He wasn't there. He was not there Friday night. You know what I'm saying? But, he definitely put the wheels in motion to make that thing happen. So shout out to Don. He's in the building around here somewhere. So shout out to everybody. Hope everybody's safe and sound. So what are we going to get into first? So I guess real quick, the whole issue of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right, which has just been revoked, canceled, whatever you want to call it, and the ramifications, the fallout from that. Because soon as that happened, one of the first things that happened was the Air Force completely erased the Tuskegee Airmen from their recruitment process, right? That was one of their things that they were proud about and they were bragging about, that all black airmen, right? But as soon as this DEI thing kicked in, they scrubbed that. I didn't even know there was and I'm gonna have to dig into this. There was an actual female Air Force battalion. I don't know if battalion is the right word, but and they were actually part of, the Air Force's training recruitment process, right? To proudly show these Americans who did all these things, right? Not just Caucasian men, white men, but African men, African women, and women in general. But they said that they did away with that. What else happened? Now I will say this. I agree with Donald Trump's position on the gender thing, right? There's only two genders. I agree with that. So I can't say that everything he did I disagree with. Now I understand that there are people who are affected by this. So I'm not just being callous about that. We all agree and disagree with different things, and everything affects everybody in various different ways. But I do agree with that because we have seen men enter the ring, boxing ring, and beat women up, and I don't agree with that at all. So I agree with that position. He ended the birthright citizenship. Right, and that's a huge thing. There's going to be a lot of fallout behind that, particularly when he made the statement that the 14th Amendment was designed for the children of slaves. Right, and that's really a lie, right? And that's a huge lie, and that lie is actually attached to the lie of the Emancipation Proclamation, right? Because we've all been told the lie that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, and he did that by the Emancipation Proclamation, right? But when I was going to school, at no point did the teacher ever produce the Emancipation Proclamation, the document in the classroom for us to read. I didn't read that document until I was in prison. And after I read the document, I realized that the Emancipation Proclamation was not Abraham Lincoln freeing the slaves. There was a war going on between the North and the South. Abraham Lincoln was in the North. So what he did was, in order to weaken the South, he devised the Emancipation Proclamation, because it says right in the document that only the slaves that are in states that are in rebellion are free. Right? So if you was a slave in a state in the South that wasn't in rebellion, you were still a slave. The only ones that were so-called free were the ones that were in the states that were in rebellion to the Union, right? So you know what that does? That puts, controversy there, right? Because they saying we free, so now that emboldens the so-called slaves to go against the masses, right? And it's hard to fight us and the North. So that was a military tactic, right? But we're taught that he freed the slaves. It's not true. All you gotta do is read the Emancipation Proclamation. As a matter of fact, after this is over, I'll actually attach the document somewhere in these comments, right? So that there's that, the idea that the 14th Amendment was passed and enacted to help the children of slaves. It is not true. If you read the dual citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment, what it says is, all persons born and or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside, right? So that's where you get your dual citizenship, your federal citizenship. How you can be a citizen of Pennsylvania and still have to pay federal taxes.
That's what I was about to say.
That's why, right? Because the key question here is, when they say born in the United States, the question we need to ask is, constitutionally speaking, where is the United States? According to the Constitution, the United States is in the District of Columbia. It exceeds no more than 10 miles square. That's where the United States is. I myself have never been to the United States, right? But they wanted to exert control over all the states. In order to do that, You know what I mean? They had to trick everybody into thinking they already had that authority, that you was already a U.S. citizen. But you're not. You're an American national. That's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that later. But I just had to address that idea.
I'm a Native American.
That's okay. I can go. Yeah, I can go for that. That's the same thing. Right. A Native American. Not a U.S. citizen.
I'm a Native of America.
But if you realize, right, if you look at like on any job application you fill out, what they're going to ask you is, are you a U.S. citizen? They never ask you like, are you an American or, you know what I mean? Because they want to know your status, your federal status.
Other.
Right? Because if you're a U.S. citizen, you're required to pay IRS income taxes.
Yeah,
Americans are
take
not.
the money, they give it back to me and tax on the money that they already fucking.
Right. But if you're a U.S. citizen, you're required to do that, you know, as a privilege of being, you know, and doing business. But as an American, you know, you don't have to pay for that privilege. That privilege is part of your birthright. And what he is attempting to end is the birthright citizenship. But that's tied with birthright citizenship in the U.S., right? Not in America. I know right now that sounds crazy because people tend to think that the United States of America is all 50 states combined, but that is not true. The United States is in the District of Columbia. So there's that. Back to this DEI stuff. So recently, it's like the three planes have been like 3 accidents. And what they're saying is that it's because of DEI hires that we're seeing these problems.
Who was the plane going? Who was the plane going to in Philly? What kind of plane was that? Or what kind of people was on that plane?
The one I'm not sure yet. It was a private
Mexican.
jet. It was Mexican?
It was a Mexican.
That was the one, they was going back to Mexico, right? With the little girl. Right.
And it fell out the sky.
Right.
It took off in Northeast National Airport, right?
Right.
Took off. And within 10
Going back to Mexico.
minutes, it went right. It was right in.
Dropped right at the ground.
Northeast, the mall. Boom,
Reservoir
right,
Boulevard.
Right in the middle of a residential.
Yeah, right in the middle, right in the middle of the boulevard. Right
That's what I'm
there.
saying.
Boom.
Right,
Just
boom.
dropped out the
So
sky.
They said they seen a whole bunch of stuff. Ooh, one story was a kid told his sister to duck, and a piece of metal was sticking out. The father said a piece of metal was sticking out of his son's head, and he survived.
Damn.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know about,
Yeah. No, I don't. So I don't know what happened, but I just know
it was a Mexican.
this is the propaganda though. So now this is what they try to do. Not try to do. This is what they're saying on the news. They're saying that all this stuff is because of the DEI hires, right? And then they have a clip of this black dude they hired to be the head of aviation, but he don't know nothing about aviation. But they say, oh, he's an affirmative action hire, right? So what they saying is that since they hired a bunch of black people, it's like soul plane, planes just falling out the sky and stuff, right? All the DEI hires that they hired was hired when Trump took office. How they only start firing out the plane 4 days after he take office? Right. But they want to say it's DEI, right? Because they want to say that, well, if you just hire, here's the thing. They want to say if you just hire the best people based on pure qualifications, right, then some of these people that are hired now wouldn't be there because they're not qualified, right? So you saying that there's no black pilots that are qualified? So basically what you're saying is the only people who are qualified to be in the blue skies, they have to have blue eyes. That's what they're saying. Because anybody else is not qualified. If you're a woman, you're not qualified. If you black, you're not qualified. If you're gay, you're not qualified. But if you're a white male, you're qualified to do anything.
But that's been like that for years. So when you're working at a job and they hire somebody else, you have to train the person. You qualified to do the job, but they bring somebody in else. You train them and they take your job. They've been doing that for years.
Yeah, but what they do is with affirmative action. And now, for the record, I don't agree with affirmative action. I think you should be able to hire whoever you want to hire. If you don't want to hire somebody for whatever reason, you shouldn't have to hire them.
I ain't getting affirmative action no more.
I'm just saying, but that DEI is part of the affirmative action thing.
Right,
because then what they say is, okay, you don't hire any women, or you don't hire any black people, or any Mexicans, right? So you have to hire some. So then what they do is they hire a bunch of incompetent people. Right? They say, well, look, I did hire some blacks and some Mexicans and some women, but they're all incompetent because you made me hire them, because you won't let me hire the competent people, right? Because we say all the competent people that you hired are white dudes.
I've been like that for years.
Right. But with affirmative action and DEI, they were forced to hire people with brown eyes. Now they're saying, and like I said, I don't agree with affirmative action. I think you should be able to hire whoever you want to be able to hire. But let's not play the game like the only qualified people, like the only thing that qualifies you to be in the sky is to have blue eyes, like or it's like Soul Plane. You know what I mean? The plane's just gonna drop out the sky because they up there smoking weed and beatboxing. Come on, man, they acting crazy. You know what I'm saying? They acting crazy.
Out of the sky, it was in D.C.
Yeah, right. 2 planes crashed. Boom.
Within
and I want to know. So the head of aviation was a black dude, right? But none of the people flying this stuff had brown eyes. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I don't know what happened. I just know we're not gonna act like it happened because the dude that's the head of aviation got brown eyes. We're not gonna do that.
Somebody got to take the blame.
You know what I'm saying? If he's not qualified, then he's not qualified. But don't act like you can't find somebody that's qualified that got brown eyes or.
They said that helicopter was just sitting there. The first one. They said it was just sitting there.
The one over the Potomac.
Yeah, they said it was just sitting there. Like
that's kind of what I see. I just seen a ball of light.
Like floating in the sky, just sitting there. They see the airplane just go right through like the World Trade.
And that's but that thing with the footage, right? I don't know what I seen. This is what I seen. I seen a ball of light. I don't know about helicopters and planes. I seen a big ball of light, and I seen a little light. It like might have been a plane or something. It just flew into the big ball of light.
Yeah.
It might have been a helicopter. I don't know what that was. They can lie. How you know? All this shit was a ball of light.
I'm just saying it says a helicopter.
Oh, they say all kind of stuff.
What it was, aliens?
I don't know what it was. It was just a ball of light. That's the only thing we know for sure is we saw a ball of light. Anything after that is
airplane, that jet airplane that was going to Mexico for the Red Cross, whatever, that fell right out the sky.
That fell out the sky.
That's what they told me.
That fell out the sky.
And all the other stories I'm just getting, you know what I mean, the back end.
Yeah, it fell out the sky.
It was a hit, both of them.
So look, I posted a clip, right? The day before Trump took office, he gave a speech. And in this speech, he was talking about the Olympics, right? And who was going to be at one point in time, he didn't think he was going to be the president for the Olympics in 25, and then there's something else in 28. But what he said was, and I still got the clip, he said, I didn't think I was going to be your president, but they rigged the election, and now I won. So now I'm going to be your president. And I was like, wait, what? And then he doubled down on it again and was like, yeah, it's only because they rigged the election that I'm the president. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Because it's so crazy that he can come on TV and actually say it, and there's still going to be people who don't believe it. You know what I mean? And that's what's crazy. For him to come on TV and to tell you this, and people still believe that their vote counts and that they have a say-so. Right? Either that or they believe that this dude really has the answers.
He actually said rigged.
Rigged. I can play you the clip. It's not on here. I'm gonna show you the clip. Yeah. I was like, what? I made sure I recorded it because I was like, man, I got to get this clip in case it gets scrubbed. In case it gets deleted or scrubbed, I need to have this. And I still have it. It's up on TikTok right now. You know what I'm saying? Because what I had planned to do, I'm still going to do it, be later tonight or tomorrow, is I was going to do another broadcast and just bring the clip in.
And you're going to get canceled.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I wasn't going to be live.
You go ahead and do it.
You know what I'm saying? I was just going
to.
Like, we live right on Facebook now, but I ain't messing with TikTok on the live.
Are you allowed to say that word, TikTok?
Oh, no,
yeah, you can say it, but TikTok always cancels my live feeds.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't even go live on it no more. I just post clips, but I don't go live because I ain't got time for that. Because if they cancel you, if you going live, well, I don't know about nobody else, but if I'm live and they cancel my live feed, they confiscate the footage. So say you was live for an hour, talking whatever, and then after 60 minutes you say something or do something they don't agree with, and they cut your live feed off. That whole hour, you don't have access to it. It's gone. They just take it. They just take it. Right? And that's footage. That's data. Like, you know what I mean? But
it's crazy how people who had TikTok, they deleted it and they can't get back on now.
I know that's crazy.
Everybody's talking about I had that, should have never deleted it. Well, you should have never deleted it.
I deleted mine. I don't care.
I know.
I tried to log on the other day.
It was only gone for 15 minutes. You logged out.
I had logged out, and I just got it probably maybe a week before. Never even used it. Just downloaded it on my phone. Try to get back on it.
Oh, you can't even log in.
I can't even log in.
Because you logged out. You didn't.
Because I logged out. Oh, and I normally don't log out of none of my apps.
Right.
Normally I don't. But for something
told try to re-download it. I ain't logged out.
It was only down for like 15 hours.
Can't get back on it.
I basically went to sleep, woke up. It was, you know what I mean? I actually picked my phone up and was talking to my wife about something, and I just hit it, and it opened up, and I was like, oh snap, it's on. You know what I mean? And I hurried it up and posted a clip like, oh, I'm the first one. I think I'm the first one here. You know? But yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, he signed an executive order extending that. They're talking about some type of partnership. 50-50 partnership or some sort. You know, we'll see. And like I said, it's only been the first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Man.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I really don't follow politics too much because, you know, I think it's personally all bullshit.
Definitely is.
You can't cuss.
Oh.
You know, but what?
Oh,
yeah.
Excuse me, sorry.
No doubt.
But why does Elon Musk have so much hands in it?
So
He's supposed to be like inventing things and, you know, sending people to space. Why is his focus now so much on politics?
I can't.
Well, I want your person.
Yeah, but I can't say for sure. But from my perspective, from watching Elon Musk and his companies and what he's involved in, Elon Musk is like a plant. You know what I mean? So say NASA, right? Mm-hmm. NASA is a government agency. So anytime NASA goes anywhere and come back, they're supposed to tell everybody everything.
Right.
But they don't want to tell everybody everything. Right? So what the government tends to do, and there's evidence of them doing this in other areas, is so like everything Elon Musk is involved in, he didn't create any of it. Right? Tesla, he brought the company. He didn't create that. SpaceX, right? He didn't design those rockets. He's just the face of it, right? Because the government needs a public face of it, so that now his rockets go up there all the time,
right?
And he don't have to tell us nothing. So as a private citizen, you see what I'm saying? He don't have to tell us nothing, right? And then he gets almost everything he wants gets approved. You know what I mean? There's no resistance. So you say, well, who really is this guy? He's not one of us. You know what I mean? He didn't come up like one of us. So he's not one of us. He's one of them. He's just the public face of one of them. Because if he was, now what we're seeing now is, so Elon Musk donated, I think it was, I could be wrong, but there was like $20-something million to Trump's campaign. And then Trump creates this new government agency, right? Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And he appoints Elon Musk to be the head. And their job is to cut government efficiency, supposedly. So right there on the face of it, you can see he basically purchased his way in, right? What's the final end? I don't know. I definitely know, but they tell us what it is. I don't think we seem to believe it. Elon Musk is telling you their whole goal is to go to Mars. Their plan is to leave this planet, right? Because now this is part of my opinion. They know something is happening, right? Because now this part is not my opinion. This planet goes through changes every so often, right? Not just seasons every year, but there's bigger changes.
Global changes.
Right. And then there's cosmic changes. Right? And so we're going through a cosmic change. They're calling it global warming. And it is global warming. But they're saying that the cause of global warming is us driving around in cars and doing this stuff.
We're the cause of it.
Right. Because if they say what it really is, they might send people into a panic. Right? And you can't control people if they're in a panic.
Correct.
Right? And everybody can't go. So Elon Musk is talking about going to Mars. He's talking about terraforming Mars, which basically means he wants to make Mars inhabitable for humans.
Correct.
Do you think there's going to be low-income housing on Mars?
Oh, no. They have a list.
Who do you think is going to do all the labor? It's not even going to be humans. Elon Musk builds robots called Optimus, like from Transformers.
Right.
Right? So they're getting to a point where they're like, we don't really need you people. You know what I mean? They're getting ready to leave. He got a spaceport. Elon Musk got a spaceport. Jeff Bezos got a spaceport. Brian, what's his name? The dude from Virgin Mobile and Virgin Airlines. Mm-hmm. He got a spaceport. These are just 3 Americans that we know of. We don't know who else out there have their own private spaceports. Right? They already got private companies that do what they call astro mining. Right? They go out there and they attach the machine to an asteroid and mine it for minerals because they've depleted the Earth. You can't mine anymore, right? You've raped the Earth for all you can rape it for.
Right.
So now they're going out into the galaxy.
Use all of our natural resources.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They have, though, really.
Not us.
Not us. They have. Right? Elon Musk, Bill Gates. We can go on and name those names. And then there are people whose names we have no idea they exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so the best way to tell a lie is to tell the truth. You know what I mean? And if you tell it big enough, people won't even believe it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he can come on TV, Donald Trump, and tell you that the election was rigged. Right? And I was not surprised. I've been saying it. I couldn't prove it. That's what made me. So prior to him saying that made me a conspiracy theorist. Because I couldn't prove it.
Right. I
don't have to prove it now. He said it. You can't take it back. What are you going to try and tell me it was a joke?
If too many people catch on, that's what he's going to say.
Yeah, well, I don't care if they catch on. Right. What are you going to? You can't tell me.
Right.
I mean, you don't care about telling me. You know what I'm saying? But what you going to tell me? That it was a joke? Come on, man. So if this one was rigged, they would all been rigged. You think they really going to let the people of America pick the most powerful man in the world? Right? If your vote really counts, how come every time after you pick the president, they don't care nothing about what you got to say?
Exactly.
All they want to tell you about is what they believe. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in marijuana. I don't believe in gay. Ain't nobody ask you what you believed in, man. You supposed to be a representative government. You supposed to represent what we believe. Right. You keep telling me what you believe.
Your own personal beliefs.
Right. But what happened? They feed us nonsense. Our food is poisoned. Physically, we're already beaten. We might look good. You might got a 6-pack, right? But we're beaten down. We're beating down people. They feed us nonsense right in our face. The food you get here in America, you can't get in the UK because they're not going for it. You can't sell nobody lab-grown meat, some nonsense you to grow in a petri dish and put some cheese and ketchup on it and be like, here, here's a burger. Here's a burger. In the UK, they're like, man, get out of here. We don't want your GMOs. We don't want your red dye number 40s. We don't want your fluoride. There's fluoride in the water in America. Why? It's fluoride in the toothpaste. Mm-hmm. Right? On the side of the toothpaste, it says, if you swallow a pea-sized amount, call the CDC. It's poison.
I never knew that.
Right. Because they don't want you to know. All that nonsense Colgate telling you about their toothpaste, they don't tell you that, but it's right on the box.
I'm going to have to read the box when I go home.
Man. That's why on the side note at the House of Umi, houseofumi.com, you can get fluoride-free toothpaste. We have 2 different kinds. Go to the website, check it out. But back to this. You know what I mean? I had to drop that in there real quick, right? Yeah, but we sell fluoride-free toothpaste. Because imagine giving your child a tube of toothpaste here, brush your teeth. They tell you on the toothpaste you're supposed to swallow it. I mean, spit it out.
Right.
Spit it out, spit it out. What you think that child gonna do? It tastes like candy. They gonna swallow it.
That's why it comes in all kind of flavors.
They swallow on fluoride. They swallow on poison. It's a neurotoxin. And they know it. They're getting ready to leave this planet. They said it. I'm not saying it. Elon Musk said it. He gonna terraform Mars. He not playing. He got a slew of robots called Optimus. Where have we heard that before? On a movie called Transformers, right? So, I'm glad you asked that question. Chat GPT, right? We've been hearing GPT. The GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. These AIs are transformers. It's in the name, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have no body yet, but they got a brain. They build them. Elon Musk is building an army of robot bodies. He's not even hiding it. And then what? You're going to attach the body to the brain. These are the transformers. The thing, his name is Optimus. They ain't even trying to hide it. It's called Optimus. He got the chip, Neuralink. He telling us. Elon Musk, Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil is the head of some nonsense in Google, right? These dudes are already saying that their plan is to hook all humans up to the cloud. You don't need a phone. You're just going to have a chip. Right now, they're experimenting on people who can't move, right? And that's, But then what happens when you perfect it there? Once you perfect it there, it's perfected. Right? They're not hiding it. Right? They talking about like deliberately engineering human evolution by design. And we don't have a say. They saying we don't have a say-so in it. You can't opt out. Like, I don't want to be part of this. Why? Because it's in our food. Our food is genetically modified. You are what you eat. If your food is genetically modified, you're genetically modified. So whoever is modifying, engineering your food is engineering you. It's right there. That's why they got a patent on the food. You can't patent nature, but they can take an orange, change something, add something, put a patent to it, get rid of the real oranges. Now the only orange you can get is a Sunkiss. It has a brand name and everything, with no seeds in it. So you can't plant your own orange. You gotta keep buying them. Yeah, and they ain't even hiding it. But what they do is, see, they don't hide it. What they do is It's right here. But what's right here is Spider-Man movie, the Puff Diddy nonsense, all this nonsense, all the distractions. But they not hiding it. He came on TV and said they rigged the election. That's why I'm the president. And this is brought to you by TMZ. And you cut, and then it's P. Diddy. And we didn't forgot he just said that. Because we worrying about what was going on with P. Diddy. And you know that nonsense. Or you know, whatever else the distraction is. We all got our own distractions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I mean, like, you're going to be so distracted that you're just going to crash into a wall. Like, you know what I mean? So, and that's the whole reason I started the podcast, was to talk about this stuff. Because I can't stop nothing about it. I mean, it's just me. But whatever's going to happen, it's not going to happen blindly. It's not going to happen without me talking about it. Right. It's not going to happen, and I'm acting like it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to rob me. Every time I go to the store, it costs a little bit more. It's called inflation. It's a hidden tax. You're not going to keep robbing me, and I'm not going to say I'm being robbed. Can't stop you today, but I'll never stop you if I don't admit I'm being robbed.
I noticed that when I went to the grocery store, because one thing I do is pay attention to prices.
Yeah.
And don't think that the quality is just decreasing. The quantity, excuse me.
Right.
The quantity is decreasing.
Right.
How is this $2 more, but it's 4 ounces less?
Right. But you know, so and then they get to a point where, at a certain point, you're not even buying food. It's filled with what they call microplastics. They can make anything. They got a factory in Jersey. They can make this table taste like a blueberry. So it's like, well, we don't even have to feed them food. I could just make some stuff that make it taste like it's food, like a chicken nugget. I can't even believe people eat chicken nuggets.
I didn't even know.
But whatever, you know what I mean. I eat stuff I ain't got nobody's eating. You know what I mean? I ain't judging nobody. You know what I mean? But yeah, so Elon Musk is a plant, and I know it. And I can't prove it, but I know it because you could look at. So they have the Pentagon. Deep inside the Pentagon, there's a program called DARPA, right? Defense Advanced Research Program Agency, right? DARPA is the one that created the internet. Now, DARPA is part of the Pentagon. The Pentagon is like the brain for the military.
Right.
So anything DARPA creates is basically a military product. DARPA created the internet. It used to be called the ARPANET. They developed the internet and then they gave it to the public, right? So this was a military thing that was developed first. Because first, before anything, America is a military industrial complex. That's the thing they spend more money than anything on, is the military.
Right.
So the internet, that was a military thing. Self-driving cars, military thing. You know what I mean? All these things that we're seeing now in the private sector, like Elon Musk, these guys are supposed to be the champion of it. Mm-hmm. The rocket that comes back and lands itself. He didn't design it. There was a guy before him, Gerald K. O'Neill. Before him, this dude was in the 80s. He's actually the one that designed that. You know what I mean? He's actually the one that designed the GPS. But he was more like a Nikola Tesla, which was, he was a genius, but he was for the people. His thing was how can I get it to the people? So
the free electricity.
Right. Right. Tesla was like, there's free energy everywhere, right? I devised a way to tap into it, but dudes like that are for the people. So his first thing is, man, how can I get this to the people? So people who not for the people, you got to get rid of this dude and take his technology. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Or you got to bankrupt it. You got to make it sure that it never reached the light of day. They did the same thing with Gerald K. O'Neill, right? There's a whole documentary about him on Tubi. It's called The High Frontier, and And so at some point he basically developed some type of disease and he passed away. And then all this tech, because he was saying the same thing, that we have to leave this planet. I mean, it's only a amount of time before a meteor comes. Because if you think about it, right, they say a meteor is what destroyed the dinosaurs.
Right.
Right? Now, of course, those things don't happen every month or every year, but they happen.
It happens.
Right. So it's only a amount of time before the next one happens. So in order for the humanity to survive as a species, we have to colonize other planets. Makes sense. But Gerald K. O'Neill he was saying that the government shouldn't control it. It should be in the people's hands. Right? And it should be, everybody should go. Because that's the best way you get societies, if everybody go.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the government, it's not, it ain't with that. So he contracts some type of disease, he passes away. All that technology, I don't know what happened to it, but we see it pop up decades later. It goes underground, you don't hear about nothing about it. Because based on his thing, humans were supposed to be in space colonies by the 90s. All the technology and everything was there for humans to reach space and space colonies by the 90s. It didn't happen. Right? I mean, that's even what the Space Shuttle Enterprise was about.
Right.
Right? It was supposed to be going back and forth, right? And then all of a sudden we didn't hear nothing about it. It just died out. Right? And now all this technology pops back up with Elon Musk. Right? And he's the new Iron Man. This dude got a company to go, he got his own rocket port to go in air, in space. He got the Neuralink. He got the Teslas. He got the Optimus robots. And he got a company called Boring. Now this company is responsible for building huge underground tunnels. One of the first projects he was commissioned to do was called the Las Vegas Loop. And the Las Vegas Loop was basically a loop underground that connected all the casinos and everything in Las Vegas, underground though. So you didn't have to do all that traffic and stuff, right? And when you went under there, but it was all run by Teslas. So the vehicles under there were all Teslas. You just get in the car, you don't have to touch nothing. It's going to take you to the next casino or wherever you're going, you know what I mean? Right. And it was all programmed in. Not is, because it's actually functional now. So that was one of the first things he was commissioned to do, to kind of show, like, this is what I can do. We ain't really, it kind of went quiet. We don't really know what he's doing now with Boring. But we know basically that with the Boring Company, he has the capacity to build underground cities. So, you know, they can go off the planet and they can go in the planet. If we look back thousands of years ago, right? Every culture across this planet talks about a great flood, right? The characters might be different. They don't all say Noah, and they don't all say two animals, but they all talk about a flood around the same time. Right. And then you see there are actually places in Turkey, which is up in the mountains, where they have cities buried into the ground. Cities that can contain tens of thousands of people. Right? And you don't do that for nothing. So they had the ability to go in the ground. I mean, some of these ancient texts, the Sumerian texts, talk about people might not want to believe it, but talk about people leaving the planet. The Sumerians. Well, they call them the Anunnakis, but, you know what I mean? I don't know if you ever heard of them, but, I mean, they're actually mentioned in the Bible. I mean, leaving the planet because there was a disaster coming. You know what I mean? So, and that happens every so often. So now, if you know that happens every so often, right, and you can pretty much kind of predict when it happens, you have a huge upper hand over a lot of people. Right. You know what I mean? Especially because if you know that, then you know about other cycles. Right? Like you know about the winter solstice, which we call Christmas. Right. Right? We all celebrate Christmas, but it's really the winter solstice. But they don't give us that. They give us this nonsense. We can't do nothing with it. We could do something with the winter solstice. Right? Because there's actually certain energies being aligned. It's an actual fact. You know what I mean? We know that the moon has an effect on us. It's not the only planet in our solar system. Right. You know what I mean? So, but if you're not paying attention and you're not in tune, because, you know, we trying to do whatever, then it passes us by every year. You don't pass though, you don't collect $200, you just go straight to jail. So, but, you know what I mean? But they know about the winter solstice. You know what I mean? They know about the procession. They know these things. We don't know, so we don't know what to look for. And then if you don't know what to look for, then they can lie to you and say it's global warming and it's your fault. And the only way we can stop global warming is if, so now Biden was in office and he announced a plan called geoengineering. Solar, listen to this nonsense. It's called Solar Radiation Management, SRM. And this is a policy that was put out during the Biden administration where what they want to do is they want to block out a bunch of sunlight, right? Because it's getting too hot too fast and we can't cool it down. So what they say is if we block out a bunch of sunlight, it'll help the planet cool down faster. Just what they said. They want to block out our sun. Meanwhile, they actually building what they call suns. Nuclear fusion reactors. They're mini sun. China got one. It's a mini sun. So China got one and America got one. And both of y'all talking about blocking out the sun. But y'all got mini suns. Alright. But we supposed to be caught up with, you know what I mean, how much baby oil did he got? You know what I mean? And they don't even lie about it. They just know that the masses of people are so programmed and so hypnotized, they're not going to do nothing.
That's what go right over their heads.
If they even listening.
Because they focus on the stuff that really don't matter.
Yeah, and we've been programmed to be like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like we're not like that by design. By design, we're geniuses. You know what I mean? Like by design, everyone is a god. Everyone is a goddess. But you know, if you sleep, you know, say on the seventh day, God went to sleep. If you don't get up, then God just sleep. At some point, you got 7 days is up. You got to get up and do something. But when that happens, you know, things happen, right? And that's what they know. The only way to do all this stuff is to program us like this. To poison the food, to poison the water, to poison the air, to poison the education, right? To keep everybody fighting against everybody. They got to the point where it's not just so-called black people and so-called white people fighting each other. It's men fighting against women, women fighting against men, everybody's fighting against everybody. Except for Google and Oracle. They're not fighting. Right? You know what I mean? They just announced a $500 billion collaboration. They're not fighting. We fighting though. About nonsense. By design though. It's by design. I mean, you know, it's getting better. People are starting to ask more questions about all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So that's good, but you know, they're moving at lightning speed. You know what I mean? At lightning speed. Just look at the last 2 weeks. And they're planning to keep this pace up. So during World War II, the Nazis had a saying, it was called Blitzkrieg. And that's how they attacked. The attack, which was the Blitzkrieg, which was lightning speed. You just don't have time to react. You don't know what's going on. Right? And after Trump got inaugurated, they didn't use the word Blitzkrieg, but they've used the word lightning speed. They've used all the euphemisms for Blitzkrieg.
Right.
Right? And now, had Elon Musk not did the salute, me just saying that would just sound crazy. It would just sound like a conspiracy theory. Right? But them actually using the words, every word other than Blitzkrieg, and him doing that, they make me seem less crazy now.
Yeah. They just gave you confirmation.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna let it go. Because they've gotten to the point where they know that the average, I don't know about anybody else in the world, but the average American's attention span is only about a few seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and they know that. So, you know, if you don't keep repeating it, people just forget. Like, man, I forgot he stole the election. Damn. Man, I forgot. A meteor is coming and we all get me. I forgot. You just told me 2 seconds ago, but I forgot. Because it's just so much going on, you know what I mean? And like I said, the key thing is we're not healthy. If we was healthy, man, there's nothing they could do. If we was actually eating fresh fruits and vegetables and not eating highly processed foods all the time, man, imagine what we could do, because that's what we're supposed to eat.
Right.
When you get bread, natural bread, not white processed bread, natural bread, there are 22 vitamins and minerals that come along with that slice of bread. When they bleach the bread, they take out all of those vitamins, and then they only put back what's necessary for your body to digest the bread. That's wicked. That's the Antichrist. Who would do that? Right? This is a gift supposed to be from me, from God. And you're going to take all the vitamins and nutrients out of it, and then only give me back what I need to digest the bread. That's it. I get nothing else. People keep looking for the Antichrist. They think, like, you know what I mean? There's going to be some spooky stuff. There's not. There's nothing spooky. The Antichrist is in the supermarket. That's where the Antichrist is. It's in a loaf of bread. The Antichrist is at McDonald's. It's in that bag of Doritos. That's where the Antichrist is at. Because, you know what I mean? That's not what God was, that's not food. That's why we're always hungry. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're hungry, and I show you a picture of a cheesesteak, you're still going to be hungry, right? Because it's just a symbol. It don't really do nothing. It's the same thing. So you're hungry, and then say, I actually give you a cheesesteak. But it's with all this processed food, so it's not actually, it's processed chemicals. There you go. So what I'm giving you is not actually food. It's a cheesesteak, but it's not food. It's processed chemicals to taste like food.
To make it taste like a cheesesteak.
Right. To make it taste like a cheesesteak. So you're going to eat this. You're going to be full for a little while, and then you're going to be hungry again. Because you didn't really get no food yet. You're like, I just ate a cheesesteak. It's dead. Right? Or you try to eat some fruit. I ate an apple, ate a banana, ate an orange. I'm still hungry. Just keep eating it. I'm actually getting hungrier. Right. Because it's not actually an apple. It's an illusion. That's not an apple. That's a processed chemical, a chemical process to look like an apple. You know what I mean? Like, they're not grapes. They ain't got no seeds in them. That's just a chemical process to look like grapes. And it tastes like some grapes. They ain't got no seeds in them. God don't make stuff like that. It just don't produce after itself. That's not efficient at all. Why would you do that? God didn't do that. The Antichrist did that. And we letting them do it. You know what I mean? We let them do it. So, you know what I mean? That's my take on that. You know what I mean? I appreciate that though. That was a good push. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was a good push. You know? Yeah. So I have a friend, right? His name is Matt. I ain't gonna say his last name. We've been having this conversation about this DEI thing, right? Because he's a white guy, and he's like a farm guy. He's not like from a city. You know what I mean? But he's a good dude. But he's been programmed, like, so we all been programmed differently, right? So he got a different set of programming. So he got the programming that says like, oh, you know, these people aren't really qualified. You know what I mean? Or the idea that, so we had a conversation about critical race theory. And he was like, he was kind of the stance. He was like, well, it was, you know, a long time ago. It's over. Why do we need to talk about it, right? And because really, a lot of white people still feel guilt. It's still, you know what I mean? Like, we feel shame in one side of that topic, but they feel a different side, even though they don't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And technically, we weren't even there. You know what I'm saying? So you're talking about these generations removed from it, but they're still affected by it differently. You know what I'm saying? So, so when the Tuskegee thing happened, I sent them the clip, and I'm like, well, this is one of the reasons why DIE is important. Because if your kids go to school, don't you think they should know about all the contributions that Americans made? Or do you think they should only know about the contributions white men should made? Like, you have a daughter. There are certain places in America that white men say that women shouldn't be allowed in, period. Even if they're white women, they shouldn't be allowed in there, period. Just for the fact that you're a woman, they don't think you qualify. You know what I mean? And what DIE was supposed to establish was to say, no, there are qualified women who can do this, and you have to hire one. Not go hire an unqualified one so you can justify why you never hired a woman.
Right.
Go hire one that's qualified. No, yeah, there are black people who can do this. Go hire a qualified one. No, don't go hire the one who don't know nothing about this so you can say, see, I told you.
See, this is what I mean.
Yeah, see, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if you got that type of programming, then thinking like we just talking about don't come natural to you. Your programming comes natural to you, which is, well, the right person for the right job, which is 100% true. The most qualified should have the job. The only thing that we're saying is the most qualified is not always a white man. I don't care what the job is. Right? So that's what that was supposed to establish. But what happened was, in order to keep the status quo, and in order to prove that they were right, and that this affirmative action doesn't work, what you do? You hire a bunch of incompetent people. Because, yeah, they are incompetent black people, too. Imagine that. There are some who are competent, some who are incompetent. But you don't go hire the competent ones, because that would prove you wrong. You go hire an incompetent one. You know what I mean? And so now we see in the news, when they're talking about the planes, I forget the lady's name, but she was giving a press conference, and she was talking about people shouldn't care about the color of the pilot or the aviation specialist. All they should care about is the person's qualified. I agree with that. Only thing we're saying is the only people who qualify for that are not white. And not all dudes. That's it. But, you know, if you get, like I say, if you get that type of programming, then, you know, it's like if you got on glasses that are tinted blue, you can't just, it don't matter how open-minded you try to be, your glasses are tinted, dude. It don't matter how open-minded you try to be, and you got to take those glasses off first. You know what I mean? But it's hard to take them off. You know what I mean? Because, you know, then the question is like, well, what's my position in society? Am I benefiting from a bunch of people being taken advantage of? And if I am, do I want to continue that? That's a hard question to ask. You know what I mean? Because then you have to ask yourself, would you do it? You know what I mean? Like, if you was getting money and you had a nice, comfortable lifestyle, but you knew there were a group of people who were being exploited, would you continue? As much as most of us would like to probably say no, the answer is really yes. Because almost everything we wear and we do, we know comes from, a lot of this stuff comes from third world countries that we know is knocked off. But we like, man, as long as I get this phone for $200, I ain't asking no questions. So, you know what I mean? But everybody think their pain is the most painful. So, you know what I mean? But, you know, if they did in South Africa with apartheid, you can do it anywhere. You know what I mean? Because it was, you know, as rough as we think it was here, it was rough. Like, apartheid was serious. You know what I mean? But they had, like, this whole, what they consider like a reconciliation phase. It was like an amnesty thing. Right? You know, and it's like, all right, it's not no prosecution, and nobody going to jail, none of that, but everybody going to commit and confess to what they did. And, you know, this is the only way we're going to be able to clear the way, and, you know what I mean? But we'll see.
What you say?
We shall see. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little break. What you going to do? Mm-hmm. In other news, so a few days ago, NASA released a report. In 2023, they sent a probe out to one of these asteroids to get some, material, bring it back so they could sample it. They brought it back, sampled it, the results are in. Now this was the asteroid, in our asteroid belt. Brought it back, and what they basically found, what they're saying is that the asteroid has all the building blocks of life on that asteroid, right? Which throws everything, well, not everything, but it throws major foundational pillars in what they've been proclaiming out of the window. You know what I mean? As far as evolution is concerned, right? Because there's a bunch of theories floating around, but Einstein's theory won out. You know what I mean? And that's the only one they've been rocking with. But there was also what's called the theory of panspermia, which was that life existed throughout the whole universe. It didn't just crop up on Earth. You know what I mean? Like it existed throughout the whole universe. And that at some point in time early in our Earth's history, these meteorites and stuff was crashing in Earth, and they was planting, this depositing life. So they went to this asteroid out there, the asteroid belt. They took a little piece of sample, brought it back, and they said so far the results are in, and they found basically the amino acids, you know what I'm saying, which go to make proteins that are necessary to form life. They found on these asteroids, but these asteroids are not part of Earth. So this is where they're like, well, wait a minute, we don't expect to find no life nowhere, but you find it on this asteroid. And the thing about that asteroid is, it used to be a planet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's not a planet anymore. You know what I mean? Due to one of those galactic cosmic events, it got destroyed. But the remnants of it are just floating around out there in our solar system. And it's called the asteroid belt. It's just a bunch of rocks that used to be a planet. But that planet, according to them, had life on it, which once again is going to challenge almost everything that they've been teaching. Not just academically, but it's going to challenge a lot of stuff religiously. You know what I mean? Because then that's going to raise the question about, well, what on another planet? What did God do there? Or, you know what I mean? So we're going to see. It's going to be that's going to be a pretty exciting time in science on that note, because science has become like a religion. They'll never want to admit they're wrong with something, but they're not going to have a choice now. You know what I mean? So they're going to have to admit, oh, you know what? Yeah, this theory was wrong. That they're going to have to throw away a lot of stuff. But I'm personally excited because, in my opinion, it kind of validates all those ancient texts I was reading. You know what I mean? They talked about life on other planets and talked about life on Mars. Like, this stuff was actually written in stone, literally written in stone, Sumerian text. And say 15 years ago, they would just say, oh, that's just a myth. You know what I mean? Just like if you read the Bible, there's certain stuff in the Bible that people say, oh, it's just a myth. Some people say the flood was just a myth, even though there's ample evidence to support that it's not a myth. You know what I mean? Right. People say, Sodom and Gomorrah was a myth. You know what I mean? It remains to be seen. They haven't found a city yet, but that don't mean they won't. They have found cities that they once thought didn't exist. And they thought that, oh, that's a myth. It doesn't really exist. It's in the Bible, but they were just telling a story, and that's it. Doesn't exist. And then they keep digging, they looking around, and they find out, oh, there's a whole city buried under this sand. Oh, this is the city they was talking about. So it's not a myth. So for me, it's starting to validate a lot of that stuff that they were saying was a myth, and it couldn't be possible. Like, it's impossible that humans could have been on this planet longer than what they're saying it is. You know what I mean? It's impossible that there were civilizations way more advanced than we are now.
I believe that.
You know what I mean? So, so now this helps to validate that. It's not like a smoking gun. This is, oh yeah, you know, we found a whole city on this planet, but it goes to validate the story, because the story is there was life on that planet and it got destroyed in, you know, a cosmic event. And, you know, it became what they called they called it the hammered bracelet. You know what I mean? We call it the asteroid belt. So yeah, I find that pretty exciting. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens with that. What else? Where are we at? Talking my butt off. We're going to take a little bathroom break here. We will be back. This is WXPI, True to the Core, Other Side of America. I am your host, 13.